I love the Hario V60. I don't know what's your daily driver, so to speak, but the Hario V60 works for me all the time. It's not as simple as it may be to actually brew a cup of coffee or a decent cup of coffee. A lot of times you're wondering if you're going too far up the ridges or if you're not agitating enough with the swirl of the water. But in this case, I'm using the Hario V60. And I believe for this recipe I did 2 pours. And that's kind of weird, me pouring water from a gooseneck into another gooseneck. But this gooseneck, this Hario gooseneck, gives you a little bit more precision than the Bonavita one. I believe it drops down the temperature quite a bit. And this recipe was for Mr. Coffee Machine, believe it or not. So, in this case, I do about 30 to 50 grams of coffee, or 30 to 50 grams of water. Let it bloom for 30 seconds. Then come back to it. And then now I try to go as steady as I can when I'm pouring the water. It's a lot of fun, actually, kind of just thinking this through, coming up with different recipes, trying different things out online, wherever I can, seeing if it does make sense, basing my theories in the way of thinking from either from the refractometer or just simply from my palate. I think the palate tells a lot about what you're going through, especially in the morning. The morning time is the best time to really trust your palate because for the most part you haven't really had anything to eat, at least not me. I usually eat later in the day anyway, so usually the first thing that I usually taste is coffee. I really like this coffee cup. Small, it has character, and it allows me to drink just a little bit of coffee at a time. Look at that bed. The bed is amazing, right? Mostly good. I'll give that B+. I need to work on a couple things, but for the most part, it looks pretty good. What doesn't look good though is that looks pretty bad. Clean your gear, people. I need to take my own advice. So here we go. It's time to sit down after I swirl the coffee around to enjoy the cup of coffee. See how I did. See if I enjoy it. It's hot. It's not piping hot because it's a lower temperature with using that Hario kettle. But the thing about it is that it's coffee, right? It's the first cup. It's the first sip. Seemed like it. Seemed like it was tasty. Sometimes when you see people drinking coffee or their own coffee, you're wondering like, do I really like their stuff? Or they just BSing in front of the camera. I think I did like it, but something about that one pour brings more sweetness and kind of dulls out the coffee to an extent. But just understanding gear and the way things work, you kind of have to appreciate it for what it is. And I think that's what I was doing, even though it probably really wasn't so much my cup of tea or coffee in this case. It still worked out. It still has some promise in it. So not every time is going to be a home run. I hope that you experience home runs in your cup of coffee. Talk to you later.